Okay, folks, here we go.
Guys, here we go. Let's have a good show.
1B, stand by. Okay,
Yeah.
Yacht, stand.
Yeah,
Take it.
take it at midfield.
Take
Just go
it.
right now. Go to camera 3. 3. Go to the gate. Perfect. Just like that.
I'll just go ahead.
Yeah, graphics 2 is going to be up for the first. Okay.
Take
Go right now. Go to camera 3. Go. Yep.
Can you
Go to the gate. Perfect. Just like that. No music.
I'm going to hand to Q, Sophie.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
On radio in the Canal Zone.
All right, guys, mic check.
Yep, go ready.
Okay, Ricky, mic.
Yep, I am ready.
Wait for it. Wait for it. 2.5 minutes.
Willie, mic check.
Yep, let's go.
1B, stand by.
10, 9, 8,
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
and we're live.
Okay, and go for it, guys.
All right, here we go. We are live, and all right, 8 o'clock on time. Everything's going good there. So, but here we are, guys. Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. out west where Ricky's at, and then 8 p.m. Canal Zone time. It's happy at the Balboa Yacht Club. Ricky, happy Friday to you, man.
Happy Friday, my good friend Willie. It is Friday, 5 p.m., and let me tell you, Willie, it's like 72, 73 degrees on a late February. That's amazing for us. But guys, like always, we love you so much, and we welcome everybody, all our viewers, all our friends and family, and everybody who enjoys our show. As you know, us two Zonians, Willie and I, are very happy to bring you this podcast weekly about the Panama Canal. Everything about its history, its traditions, a lot of the late news, which tonight we're going to inform you guys of all the stuff going on there right now. But more importantly, we talk about the people of the Canal Zone, a.k.a. Zonians. So, guys, let's get this show started with a toast. It is a happy hour, and we welcome you guys, and get ready for a really good show we got Willie and I planned for tonight. Salute.
Yeah, I'm on antibiotics, so it's water for me, but salute to everybody. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm going back to my Irish beer, and these Irish know how to make beer, bro.
Yeah, we had a flu bug run through the house. Started Sunday morning and then hit me late Tuesday. And
yeah.
This morning I felt a little better, but now I've got a little bit of, the congestion.
Well, here's a toast for you.
Yes, thank you.
That,
thank you.
But
part of the show must go on in spite of it all. We'll just, plug through like they did back in the day to build the canal, right?
Yeah. We should get this going.
I did a lot more work, so But anyhow, end of the month, a little bit of a change of pace with end of the month. Normally we'll recap the month's shows, and we had a lot of good stuff going on this month. But we're going to do something a little bit different because of the season and what's going on in Panama and especially like last week, we talked about the whole carnival thing, and I didn't realize that 2 weeks after Carnival, and remember, Carnival is all based on a whole religious concept, right? It's a whole, it precedes Lent, right? In essence, get all your craziness out of the way, and then for 40 days, you're going to behave and do things the right way.
Yeah, give something up.
Correct. And so they had that whole festival, the whole Carnival thing, and then 2 weeks after Carnival is the Festival of the Black Christ in Portobello, which I was familiar with that, but not in detail. But I knew that. I just didn't realize, I didn't put two and two together, that it was actually comes 2 weeks after the other one. In other words, they play a role together, the carnivals and the other one. So it made sense that we gave Carnival a lot of attention. That we should give some attention to this festival coming up. And then coincidentally, I guess as I started looking for some of that stuff, I saw where there was a report talking about the 174th birthday of Cologne. And I thought, well, that's interesting, because I always thought Cologne's birthday was November 5th, that whole early November thing going on. But as it turns out, we're talking back in the 1850s, 1852 in particular, was when they laid the first stones for the first construction of the city of Cologne itself. So today we're going to, instead of doing a recap, we're going to talk about Portobello and Cologne and all that cool stuff there, But before we do that, of course, there's a lot of good things going on in the Canal Zone itself, or as far as the Zonian community. I should say. Big announcement. The whole reunion was announced today for upcoming in July. So we're going to briefly talk a little bit about that, and then some other Zonian events
Boaching news.
going on, and then of course,
Sports.
yeah, Ricky's got some. Let me tell you what, man, that backdrop you see behind us there, one of those ports is changing hands, and it wasn't too friendly of a way of doing it. Let's say there's a lot of
Bochinche to share
Yeah.
with you guys
I'm not
tonight.
going to steal Ricky's thunder. So, and then of course, like I said, we're going to do all those other good things about Portobello and Cologne.
Cologne,
Real quick,
yes.
Vern, how you doing? Good to see you. Hope
Hey,
you're having
Vern.
a good evening there. But yeah, let's go ahead and kick it off then with our announcements and whatnot. And hold on, Jim and Diane, how you doing? Did you? Well, I have not done that. I should, but I haven't. That's probably what I should do. I think I will do that. Is either that or give up some of my other.
Cursing, that's a good one to give up. I can handle that.
Tough, though, man.
But I don't know about boozing. I got to cheer for our show every Friday.
Well, either way, we're gonna give it a shot. It's the effort that counts most of all. From Cincinnati, good evening, Chris. How you doing, man?
Hey,
Good to
Chris.
see you, brother. Chris is on the ground tonight in home, which is always nice to be at home. So that's always good. But anyhow, let's get our announcements going here.
SCN Television presents K-Pasa. And now here's this evening's host, Army Sergeant Bob Foster.
Good evening and welcome to K-Pasa. We've got two guests tonight. First Sergeant First Class Jim Webb. Sergeant Webb's with the 227th Military Police Detachment. He's the Kennel Master.
Here we go. Kind of stretched it out a little bit there, but that's
I
our
do
good
like
friend.
the tune.
Yeah, Herb Alpert and who?
And the Tijuana Brass Band.
There you go. Heck yeah.
Yeah, now I know them for a fact.
Yeah, you do. We
Those
quizzed
guys
you
are
enough
still
times on-
touring.
Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing.
They are. We
man.
just saw that about 4 or 5 months ago that they announced a
Yeah,
tour
they
they're
got
doing
a
in California.
gig here in San Francisco.
Amazing, man. Because
Hope
you're
you find
talking
like a
about.
hologram.
I know, right? It's all recordings. But yeah, a
Remember
lot of
back in
these
the
are-
day, that was supposed to be a thing by now. You know that we were gonna have all these rock guys that have passed away doing shows through holograms. You know, with the Michael. I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys remember that, but I do.
Well,
remember that.
now with the AI, it may be something that you may see happening, and it won't even have to be a hologram now because you can see what AI is able to recreate from
Oh yeah,
photos
for sure.
and just recordings and stuff. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But anyhow, let's get some announcements here and then move into our other cool stuff here. So Pan Canal Society, let me fix this up here, but they just put out their information for the upcoming Pan Canal Society reunion in July. Remember, guys, it's not the first week in July this time. It's the second week in July. Let me see. Well, we're just going to cover our faces up here, so be it. But anyhow, a couple of things to keep in mind there. We have the deadline to register is the 29th of May. And remember, guys, pancanalsociety.org. You can find all the information there, the registration forms and everything. Make sure that you sign up and become a member of the society in order to take advantage of these discounts. Okay, early bird registration. If registered by February 6th, well, that's already passed, so there's no early bird there. They still need volunteers, so make sure that you reach out. Laura Cossack at pcsvolunteer@aol.com. Okay. So check them out there. Let me see what else did they put on here. Again, registration is 29th of May. The golf tournament they have is going to be on Thursday morning, 18 hole at the Shingle Creek. Oh, they're at the Shingle Creek, so it's right at the hotel there. Okay, that is a nice course actually. Start time is 8:30. Got to be there by 8 o'clock. If you want to go to that, Dave Bishop. Look up Dave Bishop. That's who you want to get a hold of at the Pan Canal Society or whoever he's with there. But he's going to be handling the golf tournament. Of course, you have the dance and lottery ticket sales. I'm not going to cover all of this stuff in detail, guys, but check them out at pancanalsociety.org. A lot of good information out there, a lot of different activities going on, and make sure you get signed up for them early. And then, of course, if you want to be a volunteer, that's one thing they're always looking for is volunteers. So make sure you look that up as well. But a couple other things that are going on with the society. Upcoming events here. Let me see, and let me kind of fix that screen a little bit here.
Yeah, it's the Space Coast Potluck.
Yeah, that's going on right now, actually. All right, so there we go. So right now, the Space Coast potluck. Hope you guys are having a good time down there. Enjoy yourselves at the Hilton Cocoa Beach, the Tiki Bar there. And then tomorrow, 11:30 to 2:30. So if you're anywhere in the Central Florida area, you could probably make it out there. They have that potluck. Okay, it's at the VFW 105 on Long Point Road in Port Canaveral. So have a good time there, guys. Enjoy yourselves. There's a PCS reunion there, potluck. Then the 28th of March. There is the Friends of the Museum, Pan Canal Society and the University of Florida Friends of the Museum Luncheon and Museum Tour. If you haven't been to the museum yet, take advantage of getting that tour there as well. Plus, you're helping out the museum, so make sure you check that out. That one, registration is due by the 19th of March, okay? And that's going to go on from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the University of Florida Smathers, I think it's pronounced Smathers Libraries. And the address is 1545 West University Avenue in Gainesville. Okay, it's at the University of Florida. Saturday the 16th of May, down in Palmetto. That's on the southwest coast here in Florida. Is a paella in Palmetto. All right, this will be at the Artisan Lakes Amenity Center in Inglenook Terrace. Okay, there's a link there also to register for that. Sign up before May 8th if possible. Okay, still have a couple of months, but don't let it catch up to you there. And then of course the big one then is the Pan Canal Society reunion. There's another one going on here. The 15th of July. Interesting. This is up in Oregon. So if you're out on the West Coast and you can't make it out to Orlando, there's a function for you out in Oregon there. In Prineville, Oregon is the PCS Northwest Picnic. Okay, in Prineville, Oregon. Jim Duffus is handling that, so make sure you reach out to him. I know he has a golf tournament. In fact, there's a golf tournament in November here in Tampa as well that hopefully if he chimes in later, we can put the word out for that one. A lot of Zonians here in the Tampa Bay area that'll be more than happy to join that. Then the 12th of September is the North Carolina picnic in Denton, North Carolina. Sheila Webb Tucker is who you need to get a hold of there. But like everything else, guys, just go onto the pancanalsociety.org website and you get all the information you need on that kind of stuff there and get involved. It's $1 and change a week to be a member of the Pan Canal Society, guys. It's not a lot of money for a great organization that really helps out quite a bit. So
truly, and it's an event that brings us all together by far the most of all the Zonian events.
Hey, Jill. Yeah. What's up? Safe travels.
Hey, Miss Jill. Good to see you. And then, Willie, another thing about this year's reunion is that it's a new board. And some of my good friends are on this new board. Right. So there are going to be a little bit of tweaking, with the new board. Hopefully not too much. But one of the things that they did tweak, which I'm very happy about, is the Saturday night, guys. So save your energy when you go there Saturday night. Get dressed up to the nines, and let's have ourselves a real Canal Zone ball. Like back in the day, in the Tivoli days, it should be something like that, retroactive atmosphere. Yeah, throwback. I mean, I'm really looking forward for that.
Yeah, heck yeah, absolutely.
So that's some great events. I mean, the zone is happening right now with events this month, events next month.
Great time to be
in May, July, April.
Outside of being in the Canal Zone in the 1970s or 80s. Hey, Pat. Right now is a great time to be a Zonian, man, because there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, yes.
All over the place, and then
there seems to be a lot of
It's a great time to be a Zonian online on Friday nights, man, because you get to jump on here and say hello to us here.
And Friday nights were special in the zone too, man, because we did start our Friday nights at the Yacht Club. I mean, that's where you started, and then from there you worked your way out.
This way, absolutely, it really was. That was the prime meeting place for most Zonians was the Yacht Club, and I mean, for many years, if we've seen it, one of the first places built here was the Yacht Club.
Correct. We had a conversation. Yeah, we had a conversation this week with Winkowski, who's a class of 72, William?
Yes.
And he was telling us that all the like the Yacht Club was the same identical way of the way it was back in 10 years, 11 years later. But yeah, Willie, I mean, it's been part of the Zonian tradition, and I'm sure 60s as well as the 50s and even probably the 40s. But I don't know
Look
when the
at
yacht
Pat,
club was
almost
built.
flip flop with it. Now you've acclimated when you can make a claim like that you're in Minnesota at 50 degrees and it's flip flop weather.
Oh, for them, that must be
50
like
degrees, I put the heater
summer, man.
yeah,
Yeah, those guys are in shorts and on the 50, at 50.
yeah. And don't forget, guys, and hey, Margie.
Hey, Margie, class of 81.
Class of 81, your 45th reunion is this
That's
year.
right.
So if there's anybody you guys got to get in touch with and watch,
We got to get in touch with Jose Payne. I know all about it. Or Elaine Peterson or Margie De Hoyos. We got quite the committee. And we're going to have some great people showing up. Dr. Kevin Croft. All our doctors. You know one thing, Willie, about class of 81? A lot of doctors. And they're all showing up. We got one, Dr. Daniel Saltzman, working on curing cancer. I mean, those guys are this close. Everybody's that's close to getting cancer cured. But there's a Zonian behind one of those cures. Danny Saltzman out of La Boca, class of 81. But yeah, it's going to be a good time, guys. All you class of 81 guys watching the show, we'll be seeing you there.
Absolutely. And Lori was giving us a warning about the audio, but then she turned around and said, no, it was on her. And so, but thank you anyway for that.
Oh, thank you anyway. Yeah, because we truly, I'm not going to jinx the evening, but we had a difficult, 30 minutes before we started this show, thinking, oh no, we're going to have all, those issues.
Yeah, the little glitches, right? And
they did start on Thursday. You're right, but Friday night, if we didn't have a party to go to, or we missed out on the beach trip. We all went to the yacht club first, right? Yeah. John, you remember that? Because John, you're always there.
You know what I do find fascinating about the whole Thursday night thing, right? Because it wasn't a lot of high schoolers that would go on Thursday night, but there was
Panama was there. All the cool Panamanians were there, and then the older Zonians.
It was the older Zonians, but there was a few of us that would venture out there, and that I remember the first time that I mentioned that to my wife, and she found that to be just odd. And several other friends here in the States that are like, in high school, you guys went to bars, really?
I know seniors for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the drinking part wasn't the issue. It's just that we're in high school and our parents are letting us go out to a bar. Just
and be at school the next morning. Right. So yeah. So Thursday we did start Thursday, but only this My group we started going on Thursdays right out. I mean, like right when we were allowed to. I think which was like 11th graders. So yeah, John and I.
Home at a reasonable hour. You couldn't stay out late. On that one.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe midnight.
That's what I'm
saying. You're all home by midnight.
But you still were. I mean, for being 17 or 18 years old, you're out at a bar. It's like, wow, that's
because those events start at 9. So from 9 to 12, that's 3 hours of hanging out.
Plenty of time. Go back home, go to bed, go to school, and the next night
spend your $5 allowance on beers.
Yeah. And then, especially during football season, man, there was some of those nights that you went out to the yacht, man, you were sore, man, because you had a. If it was a tough
Bulldogs. Not Bulldogs. You were not going to the yacht club Thursday night.
Oh, no. I'm just saying, but even Friday night, you go out to the yacht club, and there were some of those nights that you'd show up and, man, you were beat up, man. You had
after the game? Oh, for sure, man. Yeah. For sure. You had to go to the yacht club after the game.
But you had to, exactly. You showed up anyway, man. I mean, unless you were really hurt, you still showed up, man.
Yep. All right, man. Well, let's we can get carried away with all this nostalgia easily when it comes to the Canal.
Though, man. This is what we want to do.
Yeah.
Go back to the zone.
Yeah, when people call me to talk about the show, hey, thanks, Rick, for doing this and that, they always say, you know what we like most? And when you guys talk about, like, Barnaby Street or, you mention all these locations that they haven't heard of in so long. So that's kind of why Willie and I always go back to and talk about that because we have gotten feedback that people like that. They like to hear the old words.
The original dream of this show was to just go back to the zone and relive it. And that's why, hence the theme, because if there was a place where you really just went there with no other purpose other than to hang out was at a bar, and if there was one bar in the zone that was the common place, it was the yacht club. So it just makes sense, and that's why I love doing this, and it just makes it fun, right? It's kind of a cool way of doing things. But
you guys,
anyway,
go ahead. Sorry.
Switch gears now, Ricky, because I know that this is for the last few days. Ricky has just been priming because when he's ready to talk about it, all of a sudden another twist comes in, and then when he's ready to talk about that, another one comes in. And
that's true, Willie. But the thing is, it's getting so complex that it's important that I give you guys correct information. Right. So. A lot has gone into the information we're going to give you tonight. It's up to date, and it's all about the ports, guys. And there's a lot going on. But let's get into it if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, so let me preface it then by saying last week the Supreme Court in Panama ruled that the deal that they made with the Chinese company to operate the two ports since way back when was an illegal deal that they made. It basically was unconstitutional. It was null and void.
Correct.
Since then, a lot of things have transpired. It's changing hands to the point where it's getting nasty now. But yeah, Ricky, what do you got, man?
Yeah, no, it's getting nasty, but our president has done a good job to mellow things out. So, guys, we have been informing you of everything that's been going on from like Willie said, the Supreme Court ruling, and then last week we left it off because we were waiting for the Chinese response. Last week when we spoke of this, the court ruling had just happened, so then we were waiting for the Chinese response, and that's what we've gotten. So not only did we get a Chinese response, but we also got Panama's response. So, excuse me. The Chinese, of course, the government had to come out and say something, right? I mean, they lost their contract, they lost a really important strategic, ports. So one of the things that we want to start this off with is just to remember, this wasn't. What we're going to talk about tonight is not just about a port contract, okay? This is more about who influences the most strategic waterway in the Western Hemisphere, right? Who's the one that's got the influence, right? Because some people say Panama, U.S., Chinese, this, that, and the other. So everything that happened this week is about that. It's how it's being framed now. You guys know Panama has built this modern identity around regaining the canal, right? So that's a big deal, right? Getting the canal back. So the Chinese come and they respond. So of course they're a superpower, so they've used words like absurd, shameful, pathetic. Things like Panamanians are rabid dogs eager to please Trump. I mean, these are nasty things they were saying, right? They're going to make us pay a price. And, the country for a week was like, oh, shit, what could happen? These guys are a world power. Let's not fool ourselves, right?
What do we do, man?
Yeah. And then, we understand that, if you're in the geopolitics like I am, I understand that, it's about deterrence to make sure nobody else does what Panama does. It's also about domestic consumption, because how could a tiny little Panama, punk the big, enormous giant of China and kick them out of the most important ports, right? And then not only that, it's Chinese way to signal to Washington that, hey, listen, we know what you're doing, man. You're trying to kick us out of... Yeah, you're trying to kick us out of the Western Hemisphere. So, and then, of course, their main theme, the Chinese main theme is, we're going to defend our company. So that's all legit, but these responses, these responses were a little escalating. They were, you don't need to call us rabid dogs and pathetic, a little respect, So there was some tension going on for a week, guys. So Molino then came out quickly. No escalation now, remember, no escalation. His response was what I consider a very sophisticated diplomatic move, right? No insults, no accusation, no, giving the United States all the credit, right? And the most important thing was he didn't treat this as a Chinese threat. He immediately recognized that investor confidence matters more than nationalistic rhetoric. Right? Because, of course, all Panamanians want to hear, oh, China, we don't need you. Let's fight this, and that, He didn't, he did signal a quiet alignment with the security interests of the U.S. So, that goes without saying.
Sure.
So, Panama was expecting a quiet resolution, but the Chinese decided, no, we're going to make this, we're going to show the world that we're not going to get punked over by... Yeah, by little Panama, so they call us pathetic and all this stuff, right? So Molino made sure that he highlighted, right? This is really cool. He highlighted, right? He actually framed it like this: that China's critique is lacking real leverage, right? Why? I mean, he actually said when they asked him, "What do you think China's going to do?" and he says, You know, my personal opinion, because I am not going to speculate on geopolitics or what China's going to do, but he says, but what really could China do to Panama, right? I mean, we don't, there's not much that we export to them, $40 million, that's it,
Right.
versus $600 million to the U.S. So Molino has he basically shifted the rhetoric from being this terrible what could happen to Panama if China retaliates to, you know what? Listen, China, I don't think you're going to do anything.
Words back and forth, and he chose to say, "Hey, wait a minute. There's a bigger picture here that we got to work on." And
yeah, well, and he also, like I said, he wants to make sure everybody knows that we're not panicking, and we are truly in the driver's seat here.
Right.
Chinese, and he made it clear, Chinese imports, exports, and all gas shipments rely heavily on Panama's shipping routes. So there's absolutely nothing they can do about that, right? They also rely heavily on all the associated logistic infrastructure that Panama has. For example, La Zona Libre. They do all their business from there in the Western Hemisphere, right? All the stuff goes there, and from there it goes out. Of course, the ports and the gas ducts, which are coming up. That's more of a future thing, right? Because all their gas leads go through that Panama Canal. So Molino is really trying to make everybody feel calm. Like, listen, nothing's going to happen. This is for domestic consumption for them. He goes, actually, China needs Panama more than Panama needs China.
100%.
Right. So he never escalated. He just said, listen, if China's going to react, Panama, historically has handled way worse. So whatever it is that you're going to bring to us, we've already handled way worse.
Absolutely. And it's very clear that there's a backing for Panama anyway from the United States and everybody right now anyhow. So,
oh no! Listen, the two ports are already operating
right.
not at the best capacity because PPC did everything. Now here comes all the bochinche. PPC, which is the people who ran the Hutchinson Balboa, who ran it.
Right.
The contract says if it closed, they were supposed to turn everything over so that there's no interruption in the ports. But China did not play that game. They cut off the electricity. They cut off everything. They didn't give access to the paperwork. So Panama this week, they raided their office. They went in there and took everything, computers, paper, you name it, man. They took everything. And what pops out, man? All the cheating they're doing with the labor, to bring down the gains so that they have to pay.
We talked about this a year ago, man.
I know we did. And back a year ago, they knew
we got ridiculed by some people for that.
A whole bunch. Listen, back a year ago, the numbers were 1.2 billion, Willie. Now the numbers are at $8 billion that they haven't paid Panama, that they just ripped them off, man. So, guys, it's been incredible what's going on. The president, the president
perceived a threat. U.S. by treaty will intervene.
The president has shot down their threat, has made them understand that, hey, guys, listen, you guys need us more than we need you. Sure. So tone it down a little bit, let's keep the peace and let's keep this rolling, right?
China has more to lose by not playing ball.
It goes against their economic, well-being.
If you now have to add 60 or 70% of the travel time of your goods being shipped out to go around the Horn instead of going through the canal, you're in a big deficit there.
It's going to cost them more. They're not going to do it. And this is why Molino did ask.
That's why he knew what he was dealing with.
Yeah, Molino asked,
I know what cards I'm holding.
Correct. So they're asking him, what, when they were asking Molino about China, Molino then turned around and he asked them, what gains has this commercial relationship with China brought to Panama, right? So by him saying that, he subtly shifts the blame, right, towards China for lack of reciprocal value and economic cooperation. In other words, he's telling us, hey, look, you don't buy anything Panamanian, you don't use Panama, you don't do anything here, $40 million, please. We
money that came into Panama over the last 20 plus years for all this infrastructure, that grew, and did it improve Panama? Yes. At what cost? And now what we're seeing after these raids and everything, a truly astronomical cost. $8 billion for a country the size of Panama is a shit ton of money.
25 years.
So what benefit did Panama get out of all this big infrastructure if, hey, guess what? They still have to pay on it.
Well, that's right? What Molino... Yeah, so Molino's shifting that narrative, that framing. That guy's brilliant. To going, hey, China, man, we were supposed to be more even Steven on this economic cooperation.
Knock it off. Quit
and it's all one way. So, let's just knock. Oh, man. So basically, what this has shown is to both superpowers now, with all due respect, this has shown the world who, in other words, nobody influences Panama on canal policy. When it comes to the Panama Canal, they've already let the U.S. know, and they've already let the Chinese know. Only Panama makes that decision. So for that, I think the president did a great job. The country's in a good spot. And to wrap up my beer, cheers to that president of ours and the way he's handling this.
Yeah, no, indeed he has. He's done well by the Panamanian people because he's looking out for them. And
well, Willie, God, they went in there and they went to because the Chinese never gave access to anybody in Panama of what they were doing, and that right now the big gossip is this labor contract that they don't know who. So there was this subcontractor that provided the labor for the ports. Mm-hmm. Right, so that I don't know. It works the numbers in Chinese benefit. In construction, it used to be like that. We would 1099 everybody.
Their benefit, but it works to the detriment of the other country. Every time.
In construction, like back in the day, talking 20 years ago, a lot of contractors would 1099 everybody, so we wouldn't have to pay workers' comp, payroll tax, etc. So it's kind of like the same thing. Well, here, you can't do that anymore in the United States. So that was a long time ago. You can't just 1099 anybody. You can only 1099 people in California if they're licensed. If they're not licensed, you ain't 1099ing anybody. So they found out that the vast majority of the employees were all 1099. So they're not covered by anything. They're just left out in limbo, and the Chinese pulled out. They're not even going to pay them. These guys have really, really done a really horrible job, and they just has not proven to be a good commercial
it was a big old I told you so.
Partner
That's all I
Panama.
can say.
Right.
It sure was.
So, Willie, they went in there and to the kitchen, and they went and saw, they spent $40 million a year on the labor force, right? That's what the contract was, $40 million. Willie, they don't even provide a kitchen. The kitchen that they showed was, it was disgusting. It to say the least. One microwave for the entire workforce. One microwave.
Now imagine what.
And it's an open kitchen, Willie. It's an open kitchen with trucks going by. So you're eating lunch and all that dust.
And all that dust and dirt, flies, bugs, you name it.
Yeah, it's the best thing that could have happened to Panama is they got to change this. Not only the country, but for the employees. God, those guys were.
Dude, and imagine what their operations like in other places that are way more third world.
Well, Peru's now on the news, so Peru's watched what Panama did, and this is why the Chinese are worried. That's that deterrence. That's why they're treating Panama so harshly as a deterrent, so nobody else gets the ideas of Panama of saying, hey, look, guys, this stuff is just way too corrupt, man. We can't move forward with this stuff. Well, anyways, guys, that's what we have on that. I hope you enjoyed my update on that. And it's going to be, again, next week we'll update you again because every day it's something new is happening with that. So right now, next week, more than likely, we'll know who's behind this company that provided all the employees. And we have a feeling we know who it is. Or at least we know there's some politicians behind
Well,
that.
we knew that was the case. That's always been the case. I mean, come on, let's not kid ourselves. That one is, I mean, it happens all the time. It's been the same story everywhere in the world that the Chinese have put their hands on a country that has a strategic asset. Okay? Because you notice they don't put any of these projects in a country that doesn't have anything for them, right? You got
well, listen, we don't want them to cut us off on YouTube if they're listening to us. We can't diss on the Chinese too much, man. But that's the update on the ports, guys. It's been, pretty much Panamanian sovereignty type of a deal.
Right.
And they're really doing a good job. The Panamanian government is really, really, really doing a good job with handling this geopolitical issue. They're doing a fantastic job. So right on, Molino. Cheers to you, my good friend.
Panama's done a lot in the last year and a half to, and for lack of a better term, grow up. Right.
Oh, they're grown up.
I mean, they've really stood up and said, "Hey, man, and really, you look at it. This is the one country that, like we've said before, for 500 years now has had an asset that everybody wants to use and everybody needs, and that's what Panama, they recognize now that they have that, it's theirs, and if you want to play ball, do it according to Panama's rules. That's just the way it's going to work. I don't care who you are, I don't care how big you are.
It didn't start that way because, the Frenchman kind of, did his deal, but they're definitely there now. And they've, like I said, Molino has done a good job to let the world know who influences decision-making in the Panama Canal.
Yeah,
and that's nobody but Panama.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's say hello to a couple other folks here. Mark, good
Mark
to see you,
Cicero.
Mark. Hey, Mark, post a link to that video you sent me the other day if it's up. Mark put out a new song now, and he created a video of it. It looked really, really good. Really well done. That was really cool.
Mark, class of 81. Mark, we'll see you.
Yep, class of 81 is
all the 81s, man. That was a good class.
82 now also is looking for registrations for Panama in January for CZR. But again, we'll focus more on that, come July. Right now, class of 81, you have your Orlando reunion coming up, so make sure you get set up for that. Same thing with class of 86. Right, we're going to have a reunion going on in Orlando as well, and I'll get you guys some details on that and who to pass.
Yeah, my class is pretty mellow. We're not the big rah like the class of 80 and 79 or 82. Those guys are real. 83. We were really the quiet class. 81 was pretty quiet, guys.
Yeah.
But a good class nonetheless. Or a lot of good families there. A lot of Zonians still.
Sure.
Yeah.
So now another announcement real quick, or another local happening, and this is something that we saw. We had these folks join us maybe about a month ago, I would say, right, Ricky? Give or take. So about a month ago, Warren Gibbs, Panama Canal Zone, class of 87, and his sons, Brenner and Stone, joined us. I think it was only Stone was able to join us. Brenner was working or was in training. But anyhow, last week or the week before, he was sending us some information and some video and images, and for whatever reason they wouldn't pop up. I couldn't get them to work or anything, but anyhow, he had a great tournament, and here's some pictures of it. But the one thing that I wanted to kind of showcase on here, which I thought was really, really cool, and kudos to you, Warren, on a job well done raising your kids. But you see the picture of the two guys, embracing each other afterwards or before. I'm not sure which one it is, but the kid in the blue shirt, it was his opponent. This guy's a highly ranked opponent. And he ended up beating him and putting him in gosh, I'm drawing a blank now. What was the name of that move that he did, that arm bar or whatever he called it, that you could break someone's arm if you do it and do it the right way?
Carden Palito.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's the Capira hold. But anyhow, that's the move he's got him in right there. If you can see in the picture in the middle there, where he's got his arm wrapped around and he's doing something there, but. Anyhow, after the match, he ended up winning. The guy submitted.
Yes. This
and
kid's
after
going
the
places.
match, he posted nothing but praise for this guy and being thankful for the opportunity. And like they said, when you lose, it's not about being angry. It's about, hey, a learning opportunity.
That's
and you're
the
giving the
Zonian way, Willie. If you remember in
Absolutely,
sports, and after every sport we did, after the game, we all lined up and we shook hands.
We did.
Every sport, basketball, baseball, football,
And then
soccer.
Friday night, listen, when I played, some people that played earlier, we didn't have Red Machine and Bulldogs, but that was a big rivalry because you're both in the high school, right? You're in the
Correct. That was
same building,
huge. Yeah,
and so
I was lucky. I was part of that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so think about that, and then you're at the yacht club an hour later after the game, and it was a fierce
Oh
game.
yeah, no. On the field, hey, we would crush each other. I mean,
Yeah.
hit hard, right? And after the game, there was I don't ever recall having a adverse
real.
relationship with
None.
anybody I played football against.
Correct.
Not at all. Not even. I mean, planet distance from anything like that happening. But yeah, that's definitely the Canal Zone way.
Yeah,
The way
no, absolutely.
Gibbs
And it
has
was, and that
raised
was, and that was
his
part
boys.
of look, there you go. Hello from Bitter Stone. Hey, good to see you guys. Glad you're chiming in. So Kimura, there it is. See, I knew he would chime in.
Kimura.
That's what he did, man. That's what he's doing there.
Hey, it was close. Karne, Kimura,
And I couldn't, for whatever reason, Warren, I got the video to play. I watched it, but it when I went to download it was all pixelated or something. I'm sorry I didn't have time to download it, but it's about 3 minutes, okay? And if you guys watch this, he's on Instagram and on X. It's the kid, the guy in the blonde, okay, that he's fighting. He initiates the first real move to kind of grab him and throw him down. And it's amazing to watch him. I don't know how you were able to stand up and keep yourself standing up because you were able to pull this guy up. And basically you said, I don't think so, dude. Because the guy went down, flipped him over, and was pulling him down. And he's like, I don't think so. And Stone just went like, nope. And he just pulled him back up. Next, this guy's basically straddling you like a little kid, like a little monkey, and you're standing straight up. I'm thinking, wow, man, that's some power there, man, because this guy had the momentum. He rolled him and everything, and he's like, nope. Mid move, he just stopped and basically lifted him off the mat and held him up. And from then on, I think he started working his move. You could see him doing different things to finally get him to that point where I got your arm, man. You better tap out, man, before it breaks.
This kid's a champion all the way around. So I know one day, Willie, he is going to be a champion. We just hope he remembers his humble days that we brought him on this show and got him going.
Kid, man. Let me see.
He's a great kid. And we're all behind him. I hope and give him all the best wishes, man. He's going to do great. And he's fighting in Panama coming up soon.
Yes, he is.
So that's going to be pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let me, where is it? Where is it? I know that video is there because he sent it to me. Is this it? Okay, yeah. All right, hold on. Let me pull this thing up real quick. Let me share this screen. Bear with me, guys. Sorry. I'm kind of ad-libbing here. But
We just love the children of Zonians that are killing it in sports.
Sure.
And there's a whole bunch, Willie, from, national soccer team to the Major League Baseball to Major League Football. We are there. We just need to get into the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. All right, so here he is. That Stone coming on. You see, it's comes a little pixelated here and there, but I'll start moving forward here. So there they go. Getting ready to start off. Okay. Now watch. I'm telling you how fast this happens, guys. This is amazing. They're trying to work each other. See if you can get that first. One of these days we have to get them back on and give us a little play-by-play so we can kind of understand what thoughts going through your head right now. What are you looking for? What are you measuring up for? But watch here now. Look at that. Did you see that? Let me back that up, guys, because this guy had him. He was pulling him down, and he said, I don't think so. Hold on. Let me back that up a second. That was pretty amazing. Okay, right
there was a bunch of Panamanians to be like, Pégale, pégale,
watch,
pégale.
One more time. I can watch. Watch now. Look at that. And he's like, nope. Come on back up here. We're not going to play your game here. That's amazing, man. Because he had the momentum,
Yeah. Wait. What is this? Ricky kicked my butt when I was in second grade. Where did you learn to box? What? When did I do that? I was a lover, not a fighter. You must have kissed my girlfriend.
There you go. So now here he's working his way in there. He's you can see he's trying to get his legs together, grip him and keep him, the leverage, I guess. And then he's working that arm, and he's trying to get that arm there. I believe I'm talking like I know what the hell I'm talking about here, but But this is where it happened right here. Just like that.
Well, that's
Just
a Zonian. That's Zonian blood there. Zonian
Yeah,
DNA.
man. Absolutely, and again, and Warren just threw it up there on the screen. March 14th, Gibbs family fighting in Panama. Yes.
Yeah. We'll inform everybody. Hopefully, somebody down there can go check it out. We'll talk to all our people, see if we can get somebody down there.
So,
Hey, Eric, after all these years, man, I'm sorry I did that. Second grade. I actually was pretty good in second grade. My mom has pictures of me because I was one of the top students, if you can believe that, in second grade. But sorry, man. I hope it's okay. But it's funny that you remember that.
It's too late now. But anyhow, congrats, Gibbs, Stone. Congrats on a job well done.
Yes,
and
sir, man.
We
love your boys.
Success in March, man. All of you guys.
We do
man.
love
That's
those
a lot.
boys.
Thank you
Good kids. Good kids all around.
Yeah, man.
Hey, Willie, something that's going on in Panama right now, I like to ring on while we're keep chit-chatting about all kinds of things. Elon Musk, right, has his boring company.
Yeah.
And so he's doing this contest. And he asked all the cities, turn in your proposals, and the winning proposals, I will build that tunnel. I guess, he's a boring company, so he builds tunnels. And I'll build that tunnel, right? So Meyer Mizrachi, our big top, mayor of Panama, puts together a plan. And what they're planning, I hate to be a pessimist, but I doubt this will ever fly, is they want to put a pedestrian tunnel, all glass, right underneath the Panama Canal. So you can walk from from one side of the bridge to the other and look at the ships above you, right? And the fauna and the fish or whatever. So we got that proposal out there. I mean, a lot of people question, did ACP have a say on that proposal? But listen, if we win, Elon Musk is going to do a tunnel in Panama. So good luck to that.
It's a very successful boring company. I mean, he's doing a tunnel under Vegas, and he's done quite a few of these big projects.
Yeah, but I don't know that this would be a tunnel, because why would you want to do a tunnle? It's so deep under the canal, you're not going to see anything. So it has to be, hola, Anabella. It has to be one of those, you can see the ships above you, right? So anyways, that's what's going on there, Willie. And Willie, February 20th. Huh?
I'm not sure I could be on a bicycle walking underneath that, knowing that, holy shit.
I know you couldn't, but they said that the expectation would be like 45,000 people a year going underneath there. Because of course it'll be a big tourist attraction.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to burst bubbles here, but I don't see ACP or the U.S. or any of the shipping companies going, let's put a tunnel right underneath our shipping lanes, the most important one in the world, where, like what we just talked about. But anyway, so Elon Musk, will be awarding that February 20th, Willie. Last week was the 105th year anniversary of La Guerra de Coto. And we have talked about that war we had with it was kind of a banana war between banana companies that Costa Rica actually initiated and then got their butts handed to them. But that happened February 20th, 105 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's been interesting. That whole, we've always taken, the assumption that the Costa Rica-Panama relationship has always been really solid. And for the most part, it has.
Oh, it has. It's solid.
But there's been some times when, they occupied territory in Panama and vice versa. And it's gone back and forth. In fact, we learned that with Torrijos, one of his early operations or whatever, some of that originated from Costa Rica. Those operations did so.
Yeah, and then it's come all the way around now. Molino this week was at Puerto Armuelles. I know that all of us remember Puerto Armuelles, and then it kind of the labor syndicates out there screwed all that up, and they went away. Well, now all of a sudden the Japanese decided, you know what, we're going to invest in Puerto Armuelles. Yeah. Their ambassador, Katsuyoshi Matasunaga, accompanied our president out there because they're investing hugely in Puerto Armuelles. We saw that with the whole Mercosur and all that shipping. But Costa Rica now is also going to be using that port.
Sure.
for all their farming and agricultural to get them out.
It's a well-established, good-sized port. I mean, it really is
Yeah.
very effective, and it's in a great region, a great location.
So 105 years later, they wanted that area. Now they get to share it with us because it was for that reason, for shipping bananas and stuff. That's why they needed that Guerra de Coto. So that's what happened. You know what else is happening that's pretty cool tomorrow, Willie? 6 planets will line up.
Oh, I heard about that.
Venus, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, Mercury, and the one and only Uranus. All of those will be. What is it? They say men are from Venus. No, men are from Venus. Women are from.
No, women are from Venus. Men
women are from Venus. Men are from Uranus. Is that the way it is? Yeah. Okay.
Well, some men are.
That was the other way around. Anyway, so that's tomorrow night. So all you guys are into all that stuff. Tomorrow's a big day for all that. 6 planets lining up. You know what, Willie? I now believe in that because we've had nothing but, I don't want to jinx it, but before the show, we had nothing but lights going out, internet going out, the volume going out. Oh my God, freeze frame, etc. Anyways, that's all the planets aligning. All right, Willie, what do we got on Colón?
That's it. Well, we're going to go to that first, but we're going to pay some bills first and talk to our friends at the Hala Monkey Sauce. And by the way, next week is March, in addition to our awesome Canal Zone history, which, let me digress a little more, is my understanding it's a collaboration.
Oh, that's right. We got a great show next week, guys.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's going to be a collaboration between Dave Dahlstrom, our Canal Zone historian, and
the up-and-coming historian,
Nodiel Garcia.
He is the go-to railroad historian now in Panama. And
I hope he's covering the new railroad a lot because he really is
this week he covered all the towns that disappeared. And he's been on other channels talking about it. And it's big. I'll tell you, Panamanians are totally into the Canal Zone history right now. I mean,
what's going to be fascinating to them then is speaking of the towns that disappeared, right? We're talking in a couple of weeks, with Lance Wiskowski joining us.
That's
and
right.
One of the things that we talked to him this week, Ricky and I were on in the studio with him, doing a little bit of show prep and just, figuring a few things out. And one of the things that he mentioned was he used to do a lot of diving in Gatun in the lake. And diving through the towns and stuff, which I remember that was always one of those.
That blew me away. That there's towns like that. I hope you can dive through built, well, they're not there anymore. But the stuff that's left over from the building. Sure. He says there's trains down there and and the cars that took the dirt away. Amazing. About it,
I mean, when the plan for the sea level canal did not involve a giant lake, and so therefore the French started working in this stuff, and some of that was abandoned. And when the Americans came in, they're like, dude, that thing's trash. I ain't got time to move that shit. And so it just stayed there.
And they just flooded it. Yeah.
And there it went. So that's going to be really cool to learn about that. That show I'm really excited about because, the whole dredging, if there's one constant for the Panama Canal from 1904 until today, it's that those damn dredges have not stopped working.
That's absolutely right. I mean, we give the pilots, the lock operators all the glory, but truly it's the dredging division that should get all the glory. I bet you those guys, when it came like meetings with the different divisions, I bet when Dredgy walked in, they were like, nobody would just get out of their way. They were like probably the bullies, the tough dudes, the tough hombres.
One of the things that I learned is, the equipment they used was massive and, the locomotives.
And the dynamite
locks on and off was they'd bring one of those dredges into the locks and use the cranes because they were massive and they were able to pick up so much, right?
Trains, all kinds of things. And not only that, he talked about all the explosives those guys handled.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys were legit, badasses. Yeah. And we also we heard, guys, one of the cranes was actually came from Hitler, Germany. Yeah. Was it the Titan? The Titan? Was it the Titan?
I believe it was.
The Titan. Yeah, it wasn't a gift. I'm sure we bought it, but it was from Nazi Germany. It was a Hitler freaking, and it's still there, by the way. Hitler.
And the other thing that was fascinating was that one of the other dredges that they were using, even in the 70s, when Lance was doing this, was a steam dredge from way back in the day. And you would think, why steam? you know. But and we're not going to go into the whole show now, you know.
Right. That's way because it's extremely interesting, guys.
Yeah,
You guys are
really,
gonna
really
love that,
fascinating show.
and that's the second week of next month, right, Willie?
March. Yeah, March is going to be
That's
awesome.
so
We got
2
a
weeks
lot
from
of really
now.
cool things going on.
Good, yeah, it's gonna
Yeah,
be good,
so
guys.
should be
Trust me.
exciting. But let's pay our bills here, man. And
Yes,
go to-
yes.
well, that's what I was prefacing. See, we digress so much. We are definitely the the rabbit hole kings here.
Isn't there like a acronym for that, like ADT HAL or something like that?
That's me, squirrel. What? Yeah, that is so me, man. But no, what I was saying was March is when the new Howler Monkey comes out. So we're gonna talk to Mac one more time, and then we
One
got
last
Tommy
time.
coming up in March.
I like Mac.
And then
Mac's
April,
cool, man.
and over the next couple of weeks, we're going to put something out. I don't know if it's through a form or whatever, to get a hold of who the fourth Howler Monkey is. Because
We got to do it. Come on, guys. We need you guys out there to come up with some good ideas.
We'll throw something together for that. But
I
anyhow,
think it should be a girl.
it makes sense.
Makes sense.
It makes sense, you know, especially, you know, if you're talking about a Panama flavored hot sauce, right? It's based on the whole Panama concept of heat and ajichombo and everything else. You know, that Latin fire is it makes sense that it'd be a girl. It just does. It just absolutely does.
Yeah. All right.
Anyhow, let's say hello to Mac first, and then we'll go on to our Portobello Cologne segment.
We're still looking for our Howler Monkey hot sauce spokesperson. Just got an email from Panama.
You've got mail.
Hey, I'm Mac, and I grew up behind Howard Air Force Base in Panama. I can talk about hot sauce. On pizza, uy, que rico. So I just miro la camera and say, I'm Mac. I grew up in these trees next to Howard Air Force Base. Hey, are we really going to Napoli? And let me tell you, the flavors of ajichombo, garlic, and onions, they each hit you one at a time, and it's so delicious. Howler Monkey Original brings the true taste ajichombo of Panama to your pizza game.
Do you know a Howler Monkey who can describe the sweet heat of our original with authentic ajichombo peppers? Or the fresh punch of verde, where habanero warmth meets crisp bell pepper? How about the bold tang of Amarillo, yellow Scotch bonnets blended with mustard seeds? And of course, our hot, the same great flavor as original, fired up with red habaneros for that fire. Our sauces are all natural, no preservatives, gluten-free, pure flavor and pure fire. Are you the next Howler Monkey spokesperson?
Are you the next Howler Monkey spokesperson? We're going to find out who that is. It'll be Chama next month, and then we'll figure out who's going to be for April. We'll let you guys help us out with that one. But let's stick with what we got going on here in February. As you can see on the screen there, you know, we did carnivals last week. We talked about, you know, all those festivals down in Panama and everything that we've all experienced at one point or another. And then some of us have probably seen or heard about the Black Christ, you know, the Festival of the Black Christ, which is from Portobello, right? Portobello, you know, is probably one of the oldest cities in you know, I wouldn't say in the Western Hemisphere because you had the islands out there, but
I mean, the Spaniards were there with their fort, so
yeah,
that's
it was
what,
very
15?
early on. It's certainly as far as Central America and South America, it was one of the earliest cities. And then if you lived in Panama at this time of the year, you may recall this, that there was a time that when you had this festival where you would see people making these long pilgrimages. Okay, and then I'm talking about walking, or in some cases, and Ricky, you can expand.
Crawling, yes. One of our own very own Zonian. If you guys remember Yvonne Cooper. Well, Yvonne Cooper's son had cancer, and Yvonne did that, crawled from Panama all on her knees, all the way to the Portobello. Today, that boy has no cancer.
There you go. There you
go, guys.
So. But, you know, interesting things about about Portobello, and, you know, it's very historical, obviously, you know, from just, you know, the Spanish times and whatnot, pre-Panama Canal, right? But the Black Christ, El Cristo Negro, as it's called. It's a dark wooden figure of Jesus housed within the historic church of San Felipe, which is a church
And
out
there's
in
some
Portobello.
great stories on how that became, right? I've got my story. We'll hear stories later. Go ahead. Sorry, Will.
Yeah, no, please do. I mean, go ahead and insert them because I'm kind of curious about that as well. There's a lot of different stories. What have you heard?
Well, okay, guys. I heard it. So this came from somebody else, right? I heard that the Spaniards were like they were shipping some stuff out of there, right? And one of the stuff that they were shipping was the Black Christ. So it was like in a crate, right? So that first ship went out, boom, it wrecked and it sank, and the crate came back to Portobello.
Right. Yes.
And apparently it happened a second time, and it's same thing. It sank and it came back. So this time they thought, okay, well, this is special. We're just gonna keep this guy. He wants to be part of.
Kidding, man.
So that's what I heard. I'm sure
That's
it was a little more
well.
elaborate than that, but that's
what I've heard as well. That it just you couldn't take it away from that location.
Yeah, it kept coming back.
Right. I hate to say it, the cross and whatnot.
With all due respect, yeah, we know.
But and again, Portobello, that whole area, and we'll learn more about it as we start talking about Cologne itself. But there's a lot of African and Caribbean influence there, of course.
Absolutely.
A lot of escaped slaves ended up starting communities in that area as well. And so that's where it came to grow. And then from there, of course, you've had these celebrations, and like Ricky said, I mean, people that'll make this walk, and it is something that's important to do. It's a pilgrimage, and it's their sacrifice. There's the devils. There's a lot of different rituals. They have the Diablos, which are almost like the Diablicos in the carnival time, but same here again. And they're more symbolic, and not so much of the devil itself, but these are more symbolic of slave owners, right? Because this was part of that rebellion, right? And so all of that carried into that heritage here, and then it carried over into some traditional foods and stuff, which we are going to talk about when we get into the Cologne segment, because as Ricky mentioned to me during our pre-show, Cologne is becoming a food hotspot. The city is still obviously has a long way to go. It's Cologne has just been one of those cities that it's always seemed to be kind of down and out, no matter how big it is. And it's had some bad luck as well. But there's a concerted effort to really lift up Cologne and bring it to where it should be. I mean, this is a city that's been around for hundreds of years.
I think maybe longer than Panama, but Willie, it's such a hot topic. One of their representatives in the assembly, he even mentioned that Cologne should separate because of his riches from Panama. This guy Bolota,
right,
that always seems to fight with the U.S. ambassador down there.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Cologne has which we're going to digress to now. It has a very, very rich history as well. But I just thought this would be good to throw out there because, in all fairness, this is part of their heritage and their story as well, and it plays right off of the whole carnival theme, which is
absolutely
everything in most of Latin America is very much steeped not only in Christianity but in Catholicism, right? And so you get a lot of these rituals and religious practices. So I just thought that was kind of cool to cover a little bit about that. But let's talk about Cologne, right? Because Cologne is or as some people like to call it, Aspinwall, right? There's some different controversies or whatnot about Cologne. So as I said earlier, I saw this video, just happened to come across it on YouTube, that Cologne's 174 years of history. Let me move this beer sign out of the way. It's kind of covering up some of that there. Anyway, 174 years, and the reason for that versus November 5th, which a lot of people tend to say is the real anniversary time, it's because this is when the actual construction project was, I guess, started. The first stones were laid, the first bricks were laid to bring up Cologne, and so. Hey, Richard Barker.
You know what? We should have waited for people to respond on the last one, but this is important because I do remember that Black Christ out there off that reef in Isla Grande. I don't know if it's the same guy. I would assume it's the same guy, just a different statue.
Interesting. Interesting.
Good one
Yeah,
there, Mr.
I
Barker.
do vaguely remember that now that you mentioned it. But
No, I do. I went there. I went diving there. It's a good dive spot, and that guy's out there. There's a black Christ out there, but I'm not sure if it's the same dude. Oh, I shouldn't say that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Dude, yo, what up?
Hey, I'm from California, man. No,
Hey,
just
JC,
kidding.
what up, man?
I'm not sure if it's the same Christ. Probably. I would.
It might be
60-40.
Yeah, that's interesting to see. Let's see what else here, Vern? I
Sorry.
think would be very nervous. No, that's good.
Oh,
man.
wait. Let me get
Absolutely.
that out of there.
Yeah. No. But anyway, so back to Cologne then. So 174 years, because that's when they started actually building the city of Cologne,
Mm-hmm.
right? And as we know, Cologne was where they were going to start the railroad project, right? That was the first transcontinental or Atlantic to Pacific railroad in the Western Hemisphere. And so they started building from there then. A lot of very classical buildings as far as the original Cologne, right? And again, this was already up and running for 50 years before the U.S. came in and started building a canal, right? And then, of course, you started, seeing some of the canals on the American architecture, which, in all honesty, I'm not sure that there's a lot of what you would call classical architecture that came out of the United States in the first 150 years. It was more about practical, and I think that carried over to the canal zone. We like and we think that they're iconic, but a lot of people look at that architecture and go, well, that's kind of pretty bare bones and straightforward. It's nothing nice about it. No facings and things like that. I mean, nothing exemplifies that more than where you and I lived as little kids, Ricky, on Barnaby Street in El Prado.
Correct.
I mean, it's plain, straight block buildings you can get,
Oh yeah, Willie, we got an update on the Cologne on the Black Christ out in the water from our Zonian attorney Rodolfo Arias. Don't forget to look him up, guys. Yes. The Christ off Isla Grande, it is El Cristo de las Profundidades. So it's the Christ of the deep sea, I guess.
Yeah. Of the depth. Of the
ocean depths. Yes. Thank you, Rodolfo.
Right on. Yes. And don't forget, like Ricky mentioned, guys, if you're looking to get anything, citizenship, cedulas,
passports,
I mean, any kind of stuff like that, and as well, real estate. Looking to maybe buy
estate.
Yep. Get a hold of Rodolfo. Check out
medical
our show
insurance
from last week. All his information is on there. His phone number. He's on WhatsApp, so you can reach him from anywhere in the world. But definitely give him a ring and
my family already hired him.
Here.
My cousins here are getting all their paperwork done through him.
Because remember, it's not just you. If you were born there, it's your kids and your grandkids. So yeah, definitely take advantage of it. You got a great zone here, class of '82, that'll be more than happy to help you out with that. Can't remember the name, but there was a bakery in Cologne that had the best micha bread. Just thinking about it, maybe. Yeah, indeed. And the best part about micha bread was I would break that open and eat the middle out first. And then you just have it's almost like a cracker afterwards, man. But if you got it hot, oh my God, that was delicious.
There's only one place where you can get the best micha bread and that pan del dulce, and that was in San Carlos. I don't know if everybody remembers that little bakery on the side there. It was hard to find, but every Zonian knew where it was.
Well, remember also Quesos Chela. Going out by Capita or wherever that was. I mean, that place was iconic, and that was your stop off to go to the bathroom and snack before you're getting to the beaches.
Well, those were more pastelitos, if you remember,
and
that dulce.
Everybody went to Quesos Chela at one.
Yeah, and then all those little candies and those little paper wrappers that were super delicious.
Oh yes, nothing but sugar. It was sugar cane. It was molasses.
Yeah.
That's what it was. But so anyhow, so Cologne, very much a melting pot, a Caribbean melting pot. A lot of that, again, they call it that Afro-Antillian culture, which is your blacks that settled in the Caribbean. Obviously from the slavery times and whatnot. But a lot of them showed up there, after 1903 to build the canal. But they were there in the 1870s, 1850s, for the Panama Railroad, and then again for the French attempt to build a canal. So a lot of that influence on that side. And it makes sense because if you look at Panama's coast, you got the Pacific and Atlantic coast. On the Pacific coast, outside of what you have in South America and along Central America, there's nothing else out there until you get all the way to Australia, right? On the Atlantic side, dude, you're only 200-300 miles away, 500 miles away from Cuba, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, I mean, all the Caribbean islands. So it makes sense that you'd have a population on the Atlantic side more leaning towards that Caribbean Afro-Antillian
No, everything kind of started on the Atlantic side.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Side was later. Yeah.
That was a starting point. So that was kind of cool to see. And then we want to learn a little bit about the actual history of this area here, what it was, when it started. And again, this started all the way back in 1850, right? Portobello and what was the other, Nombre de Dios, those go back to the 1500s, right? And you get off the boat there, maybe go a little further to an area that you suddenly ran into a river, a mouth of a river, which was the Chagres River, as we've learned. And so they built a fort there, Fort San Lorenzo.
Correct,
right?
correct.
But Cologne, there was no such thing until the
Portobello.
Americans. Well, that's what I'm saying. It was Portobello, it was Nombre de Dios, and it was Fort San Lorenzo.
Oh, Portobello's Nombre de Dios?
No, Ricky. On the Atlantic side, you had Nombre de Dios, which is closer to Darien.
Yeah, closer up. Yeah, correct.
Then you have Portobello.
Right.
And then you have San Carlos, Fort San
Lorenzo.
And that was at the mouth of the Chagres River.
Mm-hmm.
See, we look at Cologne and all that that's the mouth of the canal, but there was nothing there. It was just coastline, right? And then you got to the river, and that's where you built Fort San Lorenzo. And then in the 1850s, when the Americans came in to build that transcontinental railroad, that's when they started to establish this area of Cologne and Aspinwall. They named it, changed the names, however that went. But this is what started going on, in Manzanillo Island on that Atlantic side.
We talk a lot about that island.
Yes, absolutely. You're talking 200 years of history just within this modern history of it.
Yeah.
But this is where the city of Cologne started to be established and started to grow and build it. Right. It was a area. They did some land reclamation there, but this was kind of an area to staff the people that were going to build that railroad. Right. There's that interesting that naming dispute. The American financiers. Okay, the people that were funding the money to build this railroad and this company, they wanted the name Aspinwall. Right. It was used by the U.S. community to honor the company founder.
Yep.
But the Colombian government, because remember, there was no Panama here. We're talking 1850s. Panama's still 50 plus years away, right? But the Colombian government said, no, this is Cologne, right? This is, our history with Spain and whatnot. We're going to honor, Christopher Columbus.
Yeah, which is funny, Willie, because today in Cologne, they inaugurated a statue of Simón Bolívar. You would think it would be, it would be somebody else. But yeah. It's bizarre. It wasn't Christopher Columbus or Aspinwall. They chose Simón Bolívar. But anyways, it was inaugurated today to the interest of Cologne. A really nice statue. Really good job. Good job. Yeah.
No, and it wasn't that one that was actually was it? It was Christopher Columbus. That statue was put away somewhere, and they brought that one out.
Yes, correct. It was put away, and then it was brought out. It was actually built like in 2018, I believe, is where I remember.
Yes.
And then they just said, you know what, we're going
to now they give it its proper place.
Right, to the interest of Cologne, which is Simón Bolívar. Well, Simón Bolívar is still a liberator, so he's still a good spot. But you thought it would be, either Christopher or somebody.
Yeah, you think you'd keep it more local, I guess, but. A couple other interesting things about this. From 1852 to 55 was when the railroad was really starting to grow and increase. And then, obviously the gold rush was really impacting this. And so, it really gave Aspinwall that opportunity, or Cologne, to really become a prominent city. Thousands of global laborers succumbed to cholera, malaria, yellow fever during construction. We've heard that story many times, right?
Yeah, we know that
goes back to even pre-canal. That was the nature of that area. And I got to believe that if you look in the history books back to Spaniard times, it was probably about the same. The diseases were there. They were rampant as part of that tropical environment. There's nothing you can do about it, especially when
what was life expectancy back then?
I can't imagine it was long, man.
Like 50 or probably around
that
area.
I think 50, 60, you're probably an elder statesman at that age. Hence the reason why people were married at 14, 15 years old, and starting life at that age, because you got to get ahead of the game, man. A storm forced ships to land at a new town, proving it superior to traditional routes. So in 1851, there was a storm that was a catalyst for setting up this town and say, hey, this is a good place to do it. So interesting. So that's kind of the early history of it, right? And then, going over again that rich mosaic that is Cologne, right? And that cultural fabric, So From 1850 to 1914, there were several waves of, almost you can call them immigration waves, that arrived in Cologne, which helped to give it that interesting fabric. The first was in 1852, Chinese migration via the Sea Witch. You remember what we learned about the Sea Witch? Because that name does ring a bell, right?
That's that fastest ship in the world at the time?
Fastest ship, exactly. And you think about this, if you're showing up on the Atlantic side in 1852, guess which way you didn't come in through? The Panama Canal. Because there was
They had to go all the way around.
All the way around. So you probably wanted a fast ship to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Hence the reason the Sea Witch was one there. So a bunch of Chinese laborers transitioned into a significant local business community is what that became, from that construction. Remember, the Chinese had a lot of experience, and they were already starting to send them up to the United States to work on the Transcontinental Railroad as well. So
that's right. It was the same company. It was the same people. Right. That is correct.
Sorry about that. But anyway, so that was one of the first waves of immigrants to come into Cologne, to come into that region there to start, help build that cultural fabric there. Then the Afro-Antillean, the Silvermen, and we know that silver roll, what that's referred to. It's not necessarily a racial divide. More so, it was the majority of the world still based their currency on silver, and so they wanted silver, whereas the United States based it on gold, and they wanted gold. So it was, gold, silver. But I didn't catch what Steve said. I didn't miss the history of the Amador Yacht Club.
No, we did it. We just briefly talked about it, but we will do one, Mr. Talkerman, if you would like to lead that and tell us about your age groups. You know what, Willie? That'll be good to have like different age groups come on and talk about their time at the yacht club, because truly,
what would be a great way of doing it? Class reunion shows. Right? Like, we got to get a couple of people that, to join us from the class of 82. I know Rodolfo said he'd be happy to do it. And, I want to get a couple of folks from my class of 86 to, that coming up starting in August. We'll do, maybe like 5 shows over the August to June period and follow a couple of classes through their senior year. What was going on in the spillway at the time? What was the music scene? Everything that was going on for your era and your graduating class, throughout that senior year. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Cologne is very much a melting pot of many. It is indeed, absolutely, and that's what we're kind of talking about.
The food reflects it too.
And that's the next slide is going to be that food, because it was really a big part about this was the food. So anyhow, during the construction of both versions of the canal, right, the French version and the American version, that's about almost a 30-year period, right, from the late 1870s, early 1880s, all the way through 1914, was a lot of Caribbeans and Antillians coming in, first from Jamaica, and then, as we learned, they didn't trust a canal operation, so round 2 they went to Barbados to do it. But U.S. and European engineers introduced the different architectural styles, because obviously, a lot of your upper level, higher management level personnel that came in for the canal operations were from Europe and were from the United States. And this went all the way back to even the railroad days, right? In the railroad operations, obviously, you had your laborers, and then you had your management personnel, administrative people, and those were your Americans and Europeans, There's also another interesting facet that I hear more and more about this, and this is this Congo culture, which is a direct African culture, and these are those escaped slaves, right? And so they hadn't yet become that Afro-Antillean culture, that Caribbean culture, because these guys were escaped slaves from Africa. And so they brought, apparently in that region, most of your slaves were from the Congo region. So they had this Congo culture thing that UNESCO now recognizes in Panama and Cologne as part of their celebration. So I just kind of thought that was interesting to bring that up as well. And again, it certainly is a melting pot, like Vern just said. There's a lot of different cultures that have come out of there, and I love these graphics, man. I might as well be a salesperson for Notebook LM, man, because I absolutely love putting all these graphics together. It makes it so easy. It's really cool. But and then of course you got that gastronomy, that melting pot of food, right? You had your Cantonese style food, you had your Afro-Caribbean style food, you had your African style foods. And you throw a little American flavor in there.
Later, I was going to say American style food came in later.
And so, but let's look at some of those foods there, because it was, a lot of different culinary delights, I guess you could say, in Cologne here. You know, a melting pot, and typically, you know, I guess one of the most recognizable facets of a culture is their cuisine, right? Because that kind of is unique to a lot of different cultures, and so therefore, you know, certain styles of food you can associate to a culture, and you know, sometimes that even supersedes language and everything else. It's really the food is one of those constants, I guess, right? And so a couple of different things here that they talk about is, you know, the Cantonese style cuisine from the Chinese railroad laborers came in. You had your hotel European food, which is a little bit, you know, more, I don't even know how you would describe it. More sophisticated, maybe, for lack of a better
More
term.
sauces, you know.
Yes, yeah, more
using
refined,
more
I
parts
guess.
of the animal.
True. And then, of course, that Afro-Caribbean foundation, which was coconut milk, right? Obviously, coconut trees, that's big in the Caribbean. And of course, seafood. It makes sense. You know, the islands, the bulk of your consumption in the islands is going to be seafood anyway. And so that was a big, you know, part of that cuisine here. And then, of course, thyme and cumin, and those were some of those Caribbean and some of those African, you know, flavors that are being introduced there as well.
Cumin, yeah, I've been cooking with that. That's great taste.
It's a really, really good taste. It's a subtle but strong taste. In other words, you can recognize it, but it doesn't overpower, right? But you know what it is when you taste it. You know, it really does change the flavor. It gives it a great profile.
Put it in your chili. That's what I put in mine.
Yeah, right.
My chili.
Yeah, there you go. So here's a couple of iconic dishes. Some of these I recognize, others I wasn't familiar with, but it'd be interesting to try them. El guacho, pigtail, and codfish.
I've heard of guacho. I don't remember liking it, but pigtail, pig feet for sure.
Well, pig feet for sure was sao, remember?
Yeah, sao, right.
And patitas. You know, sao was the pickled one, where patitas, it was stewed, but with a lot of hot sauce. It was the red sauce. Both of those were a great way to eat.
Yeah, but I remember guacho. I remember, you know, my mom was cool that if we didn't like it, she didn't force it on us. But yeah.
And then, of course, you had the other one was sopa de rabito, which is oxtail soup.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I remember that.
That's a winner.
I still do that.
Yeah, right?
I do roast with oxtail.
Yeah.
Who cares? What am I talking about? Sorry, guys.
We came to a culinary show. So now...
I'm getting hungry here watching this, you know.
I know, right? We had some other ones. Patacones, of course, were a big one there. The plantains is one. The coconut rice was another one. Again, that coconut makes sense. In both in Panama and the Caribbean, you had a lot of that. And there again is that Congo culture connection, right? And I think we need to do some research on this, Ricky, because this is one that, you know, maybe HB can help us out with that. Because, you know, he seems to be in touch with a lot of that stuff there. And you know, or Rodolfo might be able to help us find out some information on that. But I'm curious to know a little bit more about where that came from. Interesting Mercado Público essentials. Okay, what do we got here? Some spices and some bases that you have to have in order to have that Cologne cuisine. You have to have thyme. You have to have coconut milk. Okay, those make sense. As far as marine, you have codfish, which is bacalao. Oh, God, I hate that stuff. But you got to have that. Octopus, of course. You got your shrimp, your lobsters, snails.
Snail, really? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. That one didn't stick out to me as a Panamanian thing. But, hey, who knows? Maybe that's some of that European influence, you know? The escargot and all that refined food. Your grains and your legumes, of course, rice. Of course, we know that. Pigeon peas, guandu. Gotta have
guandu. Yeah, we haven't talked about guandu in 2 years. One thing we've never even mentioned that word.
Yeah,
definitely. Let's put that on the list.
And that with coconut milk and rice and guandu. Oh, home run there, man.
Yeah.
Home run for sure. And then, of course, you have your frijoles, you know, in Panama as well. But yeah, that's when you look at all these things, you know, none of the things that you see here are like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to try that. You know, they all sound like, yeah, these are good flavors.
Good mixture.
Yes.
Lucky combination, yeah.
Yeah, definitely a good combination there. You know, another interesting thing about Cologne, about the history of Cologne, was, you know, we've heard about the Cologne fire, right? And it was a big fire.
That's right.
But the truth of the matter is, Cologne, and I'll tell you what, let me give you a little synopsis here if I can. I thought I had written this down here somewhere. But as far as big, major fires in Cologne, there's about 7 or 8 of them. Apparently, Cologne is a tinderbox.
Oh, wood, yeah.
But, you know, the biggest ones or the most notable ones were, I guess, the first and the last one. right? And the first one was in 1885, the burning of Cologne. And this was, you got to remember, Panama at that time in the 1800s, there was no Panama. That was Colombia. That was a province. That was part of Colombia. And that's when that Civil War was starting to really kick in. And Panama was always looked at as one of
1,000-day
those
war.
rebel provinces, So makes sense that you had, this kind of action going on back then. It says Pedro Pristine's forces seized the city, leading to the first U.S. Marine brigade level landing. And that's when the Marines landed
that's
there.
right, Willie. That's the war that Buenaventura saw and recognized that the United States will always respond to their, whatever contractual responsibility they had.
Yes.
That's right. So that was from that one, because the U.S. Marines did respond against the Panamanian Rebellion.
Yeah, and like they mentioned, there, a brigade-sized landing. In other words, this was a serious concerted effort. This one don't just bring a couple of troops in and see what you can do. I mean, you're moving.
This is when they hung that guy.
Yeah. A miraculous Gothic survivor. Christ Episcopal Church of 1884 was one of the few structures to survive the flames.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like we were just talking about with the Black Christ.
The Black Christ.
You put it on a ship. The ship gets sunk, and what's the one piece of debris that comes back in? It's a statue. So, there's something holy about that region, apparently, that we need to
and
pay attention
two
to.
Black Christs taking care of it.
Right? And then in 1940, the Great Fire. And this is the one that's probably more recognized and more aware of, probably because it was more recent, but also because of the size of it. It was devastating. Okay? 1/3 of the city was destroyed, which is, think about that. That's a lot of city, man. April of 1940, disaster permanently displaced thousands and altered the urban landscape. You know what? And I think that might have been the tipping point, and it hasn't recovered since then. Because it seems like prior to that, you had the Hotel Washington, like we've learned from Vernon, these guys, and it seems like Cologne had a level of prestige to it. And you lost half the city, you probably lost a big part of the population, and it just.
But it's coming back, Willie. They're really doing it.
It's starting to now. I'm just saying,
back,
it took. You're talking 70, 80 years.
Right.
They got a big fire was 84 years ago.
Yeah.
But
it's still a dump, but it's coming back.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Well, speaking of coming back, El Fulo de Colón, we have him. He's on tonight. By the way, that's your new name, Vern, El Fulo de Colón. We should have him on pretty soon to talk about some Colón history.
Yeah, he's working on to see if he's able to take some time. He's in that time of the year where he does a lot of volunteer work. And
got you. So maybe March or April.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, listen, if we gotta wait, we gotta wait. No worries.
All right, it's worth the wait to get El Fulo de Colón on.
Yeah. So now something interesting about these fires, right? Of course, these were big, devastating fires. There was a lot of. It's interesting that Cologne played a role in political tensions for a long time prior to modern times, I guess. And a lot of this, they say, a lot of these fires in these. If you look at this list, and I wish it would, something strange with my internet lately. I can't seem to pull shit up that I want to, and even Vern's
those planets aligning.
I guess, man. But I had the dates written down on them because there was quite a few of these dates that were these. I'm not kidding, guys. It was a bunch of fires. Okay, here we go. So, in significant blazes in Cologne, 1863, 1864, 1868, 1881, 1890, 1915, and then again in 1940. So, this place was just every few years. It's like, man, no smoking or nothing in that city, man, because the damn place keeps burning down.
Yeah.
But there was an architectural evolution as a result of these fires, right? And so the repeated fires spurred a shift from wooden structures to a more cosmopolitan kind of look to it, more concrete, if nothing else. So that really made a big change in it. After 1940, most of the apartment buildings were masonry. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. If holy shit, after 7 or 8 fires, you got to, at some point, we can't keep rebuilding these things out of wood, and when they go back down 10 years later, or in some cases a year later. So primary causes of some of these fires: civil wars, rebellions, I mean, up to $6 million in damages. And let me tell you what, $6 million in the 1800s is a lot of damn money, right?
Wow, no doubt, man. You probably built the canal for $6 million back in the day.
No kidding. Impact, massive urban blaze destroyed a third of the city. Massive, it's repeating itself there. But as a result of that, then we had a change in the styles, and as Vern just reiterated, that we started going to a masonry style where you're not going to have all those fires. So,
well, Willie, was the canal zone wood as well, or was the canal zone always concrete back in the 40s? This is 1800. Never mind.
1800s, yeah. But even to answer your question, remember the canal zone up until we know in Balboa, we've seen that picture from the 1930s, and it was, your neighborhood.
Yeah, it was all wood, right? It
was all wood, and it was different roads, different everything. They took everything out of there and started over, and then switched to masonry. That was part of that. Remember, we did that a couple of weeks ago, where the breezeway style of buildings.
Correct,
and a lot of that was switching over to that style and getting rid of the wood, over time. That was when I think they thought, hey, we're going to be around for a lot longer, and then unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. But yeah, so Cologne has had some interesting histories. It obviously was a place that that was, the Atlantic side was a big part of Panama, and prior to Panama, a lot more so than anything on the Pacific side. Right? I mean, you're talking.
Yeah, it seemed like the Pacific side was quiet, isolated. Everything was over on the other side.
You had just that one small city, which was very important, Panama City, the original one, because it was the kickoff point to get into South America, right, and to get into that whole Pacific coast of South Peru and Chile and all that stuff. But the Atlantic side, you had some major ports and forts and everything else that were over there that you didn't have any of that on the Pacific side. I can think of the Cologne YMCA building were gutted by fire during the '64 riot. Yeah, there you go. That's very true. There was one of those again. So there you go. So we got to the 100-year mark.
Yeah.
Right. So for 100 years, that city keeps burning, for Christ's sakes. But anyhow, it's interesting to see. It's a really cool history. Cologne it's Panama's second city, but like you said, it really has a long way to go.
Willie, it's put out Panama's top athletes, the guy who won the gold medal from Cologne, 2 NFL players that played in the Super Bowl are from Cologne, and there's a number of others. I just can't think of all the other ones, but Cologne does put out quite the athletes. And of course, the Canal Zone, the Tigers, they were always good in all kinds of sports. So right on, Cologne.
Sorry about that. But it was an interesting era. I mean, Cologne again is that second city, and it's one that we, I think, and Vern has mentioned this before, that a lot of Zonians on the Atlantic side, at least later on, they didn't venture into Cologne all that often. I don't think they did nearly as much as we would venture into Panama City, on the Pacific side. Right.
Well, because he said there weren't that many restaurants, there weren't that many places to go to, right?
Exactly. It was. I mean, at that point, it's kind of what happened after that last big fire. It just kind of never recovered. Right. A lot of people that left there just never made it back, and so. But nonetheless, it was. It's an interesting history there. So, it is what it is. But another great. Hello, Ricky. Well, you got all kinds of friends that are hollering at you today.
I always get friends to come on and watch.
Good show tonight. Interesting information.
I love our fourth show of the month because we do get to do almost anything we want. I appreciate that. Well, everybody, thank you for being with us. We had a great month. I had a lot of fun this month with you guys. Looking forward to next month.
We had a lot of great stuff, man. I mean, honestly, we did. But like you said, great month coming up, right? Next week is the beginning of the month. It's going to be our history, show.
Good history.
And it's going to be a good one, guys. Don't miss it. We got 2 people joining us. It's going to be Dave Dahlstrom and Nolier Garcia, our Panama Railroad historian. So really, really good show on the Panama Road, on some of those lost cities like you talked about. And then later on, we have Lance Kwiatkowski joining us from the dredging division. Going to talk about keeping that canal open and keeping those channels open and all the cool stuff they did there. big operation there that, like I said, it's the one constant that you have with that Panama Canal is that dredging. Because, hey, you're in the tropics, man. You're in the rainforest. It's going to keep getting wet and slipping and sliding and everything else, and you got to kind of keep it clean as much as you can.
Keep it clean. And then, of course, our third show is our dictionary show. Again, one of our favorites.
Yep, you got it. So, great month coming up. Looking forward to it. Our bus there tells us to get the heck out of here. So, Ricky, let's get out of here, man.
Good night, everybody. Once again, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to bringing you another show next week.
Cheers, everybody.